Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a small kingdom, there lived a kind and beautiful girl named Cinderella. She lived with her cruel stepmother and two selfish stepsisters who treated her very badly. They made her do all the housework, cleaning, cooking, washing, and sewing, while they enjoyed their lazy lives. Cinderella had no friends except the little birds and mice that lived around the house. They were her only companions, and she often sang while she worked. Even though her clothes were old and dirty, her heart was pure and full of kindness. One day, a message came from the royal palace. The king was giving a grand ball in honor of the prince, who was looking for a bride. Every young lady in the kingdom was invited. Cinderella's stepsisters were very excited and spent hours choosing their dresses, jewelry, and hairstyles. Cinderella helped them prepare, brushing their hair and ironing their gowns. "Can I go to the ball too?" she asked shyly. Her stepmother laughed cruelly. "You? In those rags? Stay home and clean the house." When the stepmother and her daughters left, poor Cinderella sat by the fireplace and cried. Suddenly, a bright light filled the room, and a kind old lady appeared. She was Cinderella's fairy godmother. "Don't cry, my dear," said the fairy godmother. "You shall go to the ball." She waved her magic wand, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. And instantly, Cinderella's rags turned into a beautiful silver blue gown. On her feet appeared delicate glass slippers that sparkled like diamonds. Then, the fairy godmother turned a pumpkin into a golden carriage, and 6 little mice into elegant horses. "Now go, my dear," she said. "But remember, the magic will last only until midnight. When the clock strikes 12, everything will return to what it was." Cinderella thanked her and hurried to the palace. When she arrived, everyone was amazed by her beauty. The prince himself couldn't take his eyes off her. He asked her to dance, and they danced all evening. But as the clock began to strike 12, Cinderella remembered the fairy godmother's warning. "Oh no! I must go," she cried, and she ran out of the palace. In her haste, she left behind one of her glass slippers on the stairs. The prince picked up the slipper and declared, "I will marry the girl whose foot fits this shoe." The next day, he sent his servants throughout the kingdom to find her. Every young woman tried on the slipper, but it was too small or too big. When they reached Cinderella's house, the stepsisters pushed forward, but their feet were far too large. Then Cinderella shyly asked, "May I try it on?" The stepmother laughed, but the prince's servant allowed her. As soon as Cinderella placed her foot in the slipper, it fit perfectly. At that moment, the fairy godmother appeared again and turned Cinderella's old clothes into the same beautiful gown from the ball. Everyone gasped in surprise. The prince recognized her immediately. "You are the one I've been searching for," he said happily. He took her hand, and soon they were married in a grand ceremony at the palace. Cinderella forgave her stepmother and stepsisters and invited them to live peacefully in the castle. From that day on, she lived happily ever after. Moral of the story: kindness, patience, and inner beauty are always rewarded. No matter how unfair life may seem, goodness and hope will lead to happiness.